You're watching the Tesla Life live with your host, Mark Cogland.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 440 on the, what is it, the 12th? No, the third. The third of the 12th month, which of course is December in this timeline of 2025. And welcome to the show. We have with us our regular co-hosts. We have Mr. Casey Green with his squirming daughter. How you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty well.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And how's the daughter going to be? You think she's going to be quiet today, or she's going at the face already? I think you're in trouble. I think you're going to have a troublesome show.
She's overdue for a nap, so she might just peter out in the middle of it. We'll see.
Also with us as per usual, but he's just blacked out today for some reason. Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. My camera, not so much. Little technical difficulties. Maybe I'll try to resolve it during the show, but we wanted to start on time, so the show must go on. So here we are, and I have no camera. That's all right. We'll make it.
Very good, very good. And in the chat room, Digital Blade and Lee Moon have joined us early. Hello, gentlemen. If you're also in the chat room, please send us a hello. Let us know you're there. And let's get on to the news of the week. And first story I wanted to touch upon here is about Tesla efficiency. So we know since the beginning of Tesla that since they took the bull by the horns when it came to making an electric vehicle, and they designed a lot of the stuff themselves to work with the hardware and software that they had, they were able to put together a nice package that allowed them to be very efficient when it came to energy use and how the vehicle would use that energy, how long it would, for example, travel on a given charge, how quickly it does that charge. All these pieces work together and give Tesla pretty good efficiency. But over the past number of years, we had expected that there would be more and more legacy builders of automobiles being able to boost their efficiency, getting closer to what Tesla offers. This article that we're quoting here is about the Chinese market specifically. And if you have been living under a rock, you have not heard that China has been they've been moving to an all EV future for their vehicles. They at this point are close to a 50% buy rate on a monthly basis of EVs. So we had expected that there was going to be quite a few efficiencies gained with their models. But this little article that we're quoting here, it indicates that Tesla Model 3 and Model Y are the top of the efficiency list when it comes to the matrix that they've put together here against the other Chinese manufacturers. So this of course matters when you're looking at, again, ranges and how fast the vehicle charges and quality of life with the vehicle. And I'm kind of surprised that China has not caught up in certain ways when it comes to this. I'm not too surprised that maybe North American vehicle manufacturers haven't caught up to this because we've seen that about, for example, you'll notice that a GM or a Ford doesn't charge quite as easily on the Tesla network. It doesn't charge quite as fast. It doesn't get quite the mileage that the vehicle, the Tesla gets. And of course, typically their batteries are a little bit larger, a little bit heavier, and all those little bits affect the efficiency of vehicles. But I wonder if you gentlemen were kind of surprised that China has not caught up to this based on them being such a large producer of EVs within the country.
I did expect them to do better, but I guess a lot of their offerings are budget. So I guess if you're trying to save all the pennies, it is harder to eke out all the efficiency.
Right. Patrick, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So every automaker, they buy competitors' vehicles and they do teardowns, or they have the likes of Sandy Munro do teardowns, and they reverse engineer it and they figure out what they've done. And so Tesla has laid this roadmap out there that they can all see. And maybe China is not as fast as you'd like, Mark, but they are definitely fast followers. They have decided that EVs are the future. That's an industry where they didn't want to try to catch up in internal combustion because they are 100 years behind. But if they can look at the next technology, which was EVs, and become a dominant player in that market and then export them worldwide, now they can move up the ranks and have a significant portion of the market, because Japan's not doing it, Germany's not doing it, the US is not doing it, other than Tesla. So it's not surprising to me that China is making strides in this area, because it's one that they've targeted. They've targeted renewable energy, solar, wind, and EVs. And so, yeah, they're going to look at everything that Tesla does. And like Casey said, they'll pick and choose some based on which ones fit to what their goals are, which may be slightly different than Tesla's. It might be going after a different market segment or something like that.
I can definitely see the cost being an issue. If you're trying to build a budget vehicle, which of course there's cutthroat EV technology in China between different manufacturers, the price is very sensitive there. Tesla's been playing this game as well with the vehicles, with discounts that they've offered in the past. And of course, they're highly competitive when it comes to setting those prices for their vehicles. Sometimes they have to adjust, other times they don't. But what's interesting is that like, for example, in the North American market, that new entry for that small pickup, the Slate pickup, which is going to be, it's not a full company at this point, but they released some stats on that vehicle, and I was kind of surprised that that vehicle will only be able to charge at a maximum of 120 kilowatts. So they're making choices too as to what it costs to put in certain chargers, and being able to charge at a top speed is going to cost them more, and therefore they're sensitive to the cost, and therefore some of their components are on the lower end of the scale in order for them to make that budget. Right. And it's funny, only 120, because not too long ago that was an incredible speed. It's now been surpassed, but for a lot of the market, I think that's plenty.
It is plenty. There's always nice to go faster. For those who need the history lesson, remember supercharging came out at 90 kilowatts, as did DC fast charging. Came out at 50 to 75, and they hit the 90 eventually as well. But the Gen 2 came out at 120 kilowatts, and most of them got upgraded to 150, but not all of them. And then you had the V3 got upgraded to 325 on the V3 pluses. This guy knows a whole lot about superchargers. We should call him Mr. Supercharger. So the V4s come out at up to 500 kilowatts, but they're equipped with 1.2 megawatts of equipment. So I would be surprised to see the V4 automobile chargers stay at the 500 kilowatts. But again, that's a cost. So Tesla found a way around it by going with solid aluminum pipes instead of copper cables in conduit, and we'll just see what everybody else does as far as their equipment, or either exotic materials or just clever solutions. But sometimes you can get there while saving money. Other times you'll have to spend more money to make it happen. So it's going to be what they think is a priority for their customers. So if you got something that can go fast or go far, and is intended to go far several times in one day, those customers will probably, depending on if they're going for the Iron Butt Challenge or not, they might demand a 15-minute or less recharge after 600 miles straight.
Yeah, I understand that sometimes you can't have the best of both worlds, because you're trying to, you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul in some cases. But it is interesting that after all this time that Tesla is still the top of the heap when it comes to efficiency. Nobody else has been able to really catch them. There might be a few that have caught up on limited amounts of vehicles that they produce. But when it comes to the volume that Tesla produces as well, again, it's a testament to trying to control as much of the ecosystem as they can, I believe. Whereas others may go out into the marketplace and look to pick up motors from one company and battery cells from another company, and taking off the shelf parts to make a heat pump. It seems that Tesla has taken the components that they believe are essential to the vehicle's efficiency, and they've taken that bull by the horn and made sure that those parts work collectively the way they believe they should, according to their engineering specs. So that allows them, similar to some other companies, like, for example, Apple, where they try to manage the entire ecosystem so that the hardware and the software work really well together, and you get a little bit of a bump in performance when it comes to the actual hardware and when it's being used. So there are, certainly there are cases where that doesn't work for Apple, but the thought was control both the software and the hardware so that you have control over the most of the ecosystem that you can, and therefore you can control what happens within it, and therefore there won't be people skirting the rules, or pieces of hardware skirting the rules to take a little bit of the speed away.
Right. Well, if Aptera ever ships, they'll be more efficient, but that's just one metric.
They'll be more efficient for sure. So recently, a Volvo executive was quoted as saying that if you take away vehicle mandates, we will go with whatever's cheapest. Meaning that had you not ever required catalytic converters, we would not have so handily resolved most of the smog problems around the world. And he was trying to get us to draw our own line that if the European nations get rid of their EV mandates in favor of Germany and the U.S., they will regret it. And that's part of that formula that you're talking about there, Mark. Is it's a matter of you got to balance your profits, what your customers want, and what your requirements are. Because if you're not allowed to sell the car, it doesn't matter if your customers like it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yes. But that is it is interesting that Tesla is able to check a lot of these boxes, and have been for quite some time. I wonder if they will continue their market dominance when it comes to this efficiency amount, or will the others eventually catch on? I guess the others have to look at how well the vehicles are selling, and if they're not selling as well as they believe they should be, then what pieces of the puzzle do they have to change in order to grab some more market share or beat out some competitors, so they choose their cars over other cars? So that certainly would be something that they're going to have to consider as time goes along.
That, or if they know what's next, if they can get there before everybody else gets there, because there's a chance that individual car ownership goes away on the whole.
Yeah, that's a possibility in the future as well. Although I don't see it changing as quickly as maybe some others do, but autonomy is definitely going to be part of the future for sure. But I guess the question is, how quickly is it adopted by the masses?
Yeah, and then they do have occasional walkable cities that are built, but that's not it's not it's not going to be a
There's
great
not a lot
shaker
of
of the
those.
market. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're usually very large metro places as opposed to smaller places.
But also they don't necessarily agree on it. I was looking at a video essay on a pair of walkable cities in South Korea. One was what you picture if somebody tells you, "Hey, a walkable city is greenery, everything's close together, like community theater and whatever." And then this other one looked like America. It's like, how is that walkable?
Yeah, it's that is well. There can be, you find that certain cities maybe will build a neighborhood that's walkable, right?
Yeah, the politician's neighborhood is walkable, but the city,
exactly. And there are certain aspects of that make sense. But you're right. As an overall, America is certainly not to be followed if you want to have a walkable. Oh, and Patrick, video has joined us.
Yeah, finally.
The camera is back from the nap.
Very good. All right. What do we got next here? I want to talk a little bit about, yes, the first Starlink store has actually opened.
Yes.
And
I just want to say thanks to Highlander for his consideration of my well-being in the comments.
Indeed. So we talked about this one a few months ago. We're like, what are the odds of this? What are they actually going to do here?
Exactly.
I haven't read any of the articles, but from the pictures I saw coming across my my feeds, it looks like one of the options we had predicted is partially true. Like the whole cell phone store, cable store model, where here's a couple antennas, and by the way, you can bring in your stuff for repairs and exchange. You can pay your bill. I don't think you can pay your bill there though.
And it's a merch store, so you can buy T-shirts and models of the Starship and such. But what I found kind of surprising was where they picked to open the first store. And that, of course, was Gretna, Nebraska. Now, unless they're going after if they're going after the farm market, which is a possibility, that they're, you don't have a lot of fast internet speeds in the Great Plains. You've got them in the major centers, but of course, if you want to get maybe farmers on board with the service, and that would make sense as to what the Starlink can handle in certain geographic areas. It's always growing as time goes along, but it appears that there is some sort of target for the I guess the central U.S. because they have notified us that there are 2 or 3 other stores going to be opening, 2 more in Nebraska and 1 in South Dakota. So that's pretty aimed at the central part of the country for these retail outlets to open. And I just don't. I don't know. Does anyone find that strange? Do you think they're aiming at farmers, or is there another thought here?
When you consider the original market for Starlink, while the shells were still scarce, was people who can't get any other internet. They're still the same people.
Right. Yeah. There's if you're in an urban center, you have wired internet access, and whether it's Fios or DSL or whatever, so you don't need it, even at or 5G. But out in the middle, out in Nebraska, South Dakota, that's not as easy to come by. So it makes a lot of sense for them to put their first stores there, where they're most likely to get the most foot traffic, and that will determine how fast they scale out other stores in other locations.
Yeah, it's. I just wonder, is there that much foot traffic in Gretna, Nebraska? I think that's the thought, is that there would have to be quite a bit to support an actual retail outlet. It's not cheap to operate a retail outlet, and of course, SpaceX is, certainly they can afford to have any type of a store they want or in any location. But it just seems to me it's kind of interesting that the foot traffic would be enough in this area of the country to, afford a store. Certainly, Starlink could, SpaceX Starlink could afford to have, one or three or 10 stores that don't really make money. That if they just want to have a presence, they can certainly do that and certainly afford to keep them open. We're talking about a company that's making billions of dollars now. But it's just kind of interesting that I thought that wouldn't be a lot of foot traffic.
Well, it's really a suburb of Omaha. So, I mean, this is not like the middle of nowhere. So they are gonna. But the nice thing about it is that it's out on the southwest edge of that urban area. So past that, it is rural, and so it's the right spot where you can have. This is where people in those rural areas are coming in when they want to go shopping. So this is where they're likely to see it, and it's not expensive real estate because it's not like it's downtown or something. So
True.
I think it's the right balance. And look, it's right next to a Croc store. If you need some Crocs and Starlink,
that would be. That was my thought as well. Is that when you're going into town to get that second set of Crocs, you can just swing in and get your Starlink dish too, because that's a prerequisite of getting a pair of Crocs, obviously.
Yeah, if a Croc store can be profitable, there Starlink will have no problem.
Well, it's actually a good combo if you think about it. If you're rural enough that you need Starlink, but also can use a computer, it might be muddy.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting, and of course we have heard that Starlink has embraced some farmers, as well as it's embraced some manufacturers like John Deere and others that make farm equipment that is more and more connected to the internet at all times, and having the ability to have maybe a small mini dish on an actual tractor. The tractors that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, it might make a lot of sense to have that direct connection for that expensive piece of equipment when you're harvesting, when you're planting, whenever. So that I can definitely see that. But I just thought that this was kind of an interesting place. I thought for sure that they were open in a larger center. Like you have said that they're on the outskirts of Omaha, but still, it just kind of interesting, I thought. Okay,
we're after you.
Yeah, so very good.
Speaking of internet connections, ours just went out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had like a blink. I don't know what that was.
Oh, I wanted to mention this in the beginning, but I was distracted by being off camera. Speaking of having a blink, on Thanksgiving Day, we lost power. Yeah, and it wasn't for very long, but whole neighborhood went black, and not my house. The batteries took over, and we were fine. And I was outside looking like, oh wow, who's all out? And then they came back on. So I mean, it wasn't out for very long. The weird thing, I mean, I guess this isn't weird, but it makes sense. The power walls kept running the house for about 6 minutes, even though the power was only out for like 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And some dirty power coming in.
That, or they just okay, yeah. If the grid's having problems, we don't want it to go off and on and off and on. So we're just going to go for at least 5 minutes whenever.
Yeah.
Oh, lost Patrick.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason,
doesn't it?
No. can't talk about outages
Oh,
without.
no, people listen.
Part of the reason you want to keep it on though is that they're not an instant switch. So that could if there's going to be any more flaps, that could help out.
Right.
Smooth that through.
Right. So yeah, you don't have those brownout moments and lose electronics or whatever. Yeah, all I saw was a flicker of the lights.
Yeah, it would make sense if it went out that maybe there is some sort of, okay, we keep pulling from the power walls for 5 minutes just in case.
Yeah,
right.
If the utility goes up and down, you know, if there's more than one issue at a time, then we'll save the customer from the headache of possibly interruption.
Yeah, and the stress on the transfer equipment.
It was pretty windy that day, so
wow.
I don't know what the cause was, but something sure happened. And so I not only right after that event, I slid our reserve up from the normal 20% where I keep it up to 30%, and I'm like, just to keep a little extra in case some more goes down tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Patrick, do you find that there are instances like this when it is high wind days in your location, or is it not specific to high winds when it does go down?
The worst outage we had was just after we got it on Valentine's Day. There were outages all over the city, and ours was only about 12 hours. Other people were out of power, including my in-laws, for 3 weeks. They went and they stayed at a hotel because they didn't want to deal with it. And there were some other friends of mine were out for at least a week, and so but usually power is very reliable here, so the outages are pretty rare.
Yeah. So we had a battery situation on Thanksgiving as well. Yeah. For not Thanksgiving, we went over to Dad's house, and he's got his new EVSE set up. It's a 1450 in the wall, and we determined that either he or whoever set it up made the interesting choice to battery back the 1450. So I drained his entire home battery into the car.
Oh, yeah.
Down to the reserve.
That's not good.
No, that seems like it's configured improperly.
Yeah, I was like, it's a good thing that it wasn't a power outage, but at the same time, you know, I get wanting the capability. Say I did that during the middle of a peak time. Maybe you want to push that battery into my battery, but any other time, I don't know.
Right.
It would make sense that the car is pulling from the grid at all times, not pulling out from the battery, right?
Exactly, especially at night. I'd get it during the day, like, oh, we're gonna fill it back up again anyway.
Yeah. Because typically at night you get the off-peak hours, and you're able to get it the top
cheap
up
rates.
The cheapest rate possible.
Exactly.
So that's interesting.
If it had smart breakers, or you could switch the between the grid and not, I would leave it there, but prioritize it pulling from the grid, and then, you know, in an emergency you could fill up that way. But if it didn't have the ability to just manually switch, I would say leave it on grid only, and then you can plug in the level 1 charger should you not be evacuated. See things are getting a little squirrely. Okay, let me top it off before we unplug and pull up stakes. That way you have full control over, because if the grid goes down before you decide you're pulling up stakes, you want to be able to manage every drop of juice.
Right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yes. Speaking of that, I have some feedback for Tesla, and that related to this battery problem. But let's go to the next story, Mark, and then it can.
Exactly. Well, now we have a portal that Tesla has just unleashed to us for actual feedback. So previously, many people were complaining that this was feedback as well, that there was no way to get feedback into Tesla directly. All you had was the hope that someone would notice it on a Twitter post, or if you were to send an email in, it would go into a black hole. You weren't quite sure if anyone actually read it or saw it, and whether it was actionable, who knows. But now Tesla has introduced the new Eco platform, ECHO, and this new platform allows people that have a Tesla code already. So if you own a vehicle, you have a login and password. You can now log in through your PC or your Apple computer to a website where you can access this Echo platform, and you're able to submit new feedback to Apple. You can quickly get to a list of different selections to pinpoint your concern or or the specific feedback to like service or sales, delivery, insurance, RoboTaxi, supercharging, energy, vehicle, FSD, or other. And it provides you with a large text box where you can, of course, put in the concern, type in what your issue is or what your suggestion is, and then there's also the ability to upload a picture, or multiple pictures. If you're explaining something about maybe there's a flap or something that you want to draw their attention to, you can take a few pictures of it, put in your comments, and submit it. And then what happens is that, just like many other customer service management systems, it will generate a unique number for that. It will respond back to you via email, letting you know that it was received, and here is your number, your unique ticket number. And then, of course, Tesla has the ability to contact you back if it is required, because they have the information of who you are and your email address, and of course when the ticket was submitted.
Nice.
So this is something that I can see extremely useful. In fact, it's kind of strange that it hasn't happened till now, because there's been a whole lot of people that have suggestions or issues or things they would like resolved, and there was no real way to communicate that information.
Well, you could always open a service ticket in the app if you had a problem.
If it was a service ticket issue, yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I've called customer service. When I first got the batteries, Oregon changed their laws on when and how you charge them. Initially, you could not use grid power to charge them unless it was an emergency. Other than that, you could only use solar. But then I think it was the IRA changed those laws federally, and so so there had to be some software updates. But I was going through the how-to on Tesla site, and there was a button that said, select this feature, and that button just did not exist in my app. So I update the app; it's still not there. And I called customer service, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's a problem on our back end. We have to enable that feature." And we're doing that for all of Oregon, but we haven't got to you guys yet. But I'll do yours right now. And so, so they said, okay, it's done. You'll need to wait an hour and reboot your phone and then load the app, and it should be there. So me being impatient, I just did it immediately, and it worked. So I don't know, but I've had all kinds of. I had another weird problem in the Model X when I first got it. If I had headphones that I would use to take phone calls while I was driving because it's hands-free. And if I plugged those into the USB to charge them in the car, the touchscreen stopped working.
Oh.
And the touchscreen is sort of important in a Tesla, right? Yeah. And I called them. They were very interested in this problem. They said, okay, we've gone through the logs. We can't find anything. Next time it happens, as soon as it happens, call. And they gave me a special number. And I was on my way driving to work, and it happened. I pulled over and I called them, and they said, we got it. And it was anyway. Then I got a special software update. Like the next day, they said, test this, see if it fixes it. It did. They rolled that out to the whole fleet. So anyway,
nice.
I haven't had any problem telling Tesla the issues I'm running into and have them being responsive and them getting it to fix it. So I'm actually really surprised that this rolled out the way it did as a website, because they're an app first company at this point. Yeah. And if you're going to do something, like, my guess is that this is just, they were prototyping it, and this was the easiest way to make sure that all the back-end database stuff was there. Since you already open service tickets through the app, seems like the right place for it. Since you already have a login customer portal on Tesla's page where they have all of your products and purchases and all that stuff, that seems like an interesting place to do it. But instead, it's this standalone Tesla Echo site, ts.la/ I think it's customer feedback or Echo or whatever the URL is. I think that this is really just a prototype or beta at this point, and that they are going to move it into the places we already use.
Yeah, plus, as a website, it's easy enough to wrap that into the app versus if they needed to do anything quickly and change it, they would have to push out app updates versus this way they can just either graft onto the front end or frame it in. It makes some sense.
Oh, look, Lee Moon's already used it. See his comment there?
Yeah, definitely.
So the note was that in the article they indicate that they believe it's going to be added to the app ability soon. Like they're going to roll it in.
That makes sense.
And some even believe that they'll roll it into the ability for you to access it in the car directly from the existing stack. But if you can't do that, you've got internet in the car, you could access it through a web page too.
That's true. You get it from the car itself. Yeah.
They've just added screen sharing in the car, so I think that would make sense to integrate so that you could capture some event on the screen to your Echo account, and then share that with service with the whole video of I tapped this, and this, and then that happened, and instead of this happened.
Yeah.
I wonder if your charger was being seen as like a mouse or a keyboard, because they did have that in there a while ago, and then they put it back in officially with some of the games. That is pretty cool. I've had a mixed bag reaching them on my issues. Like for feature requests, never hear back from them. But service type stuff and questions, they are pretty good about getting back to me, even if they can't find an answer. But sometimes it does require a little bit of bird dogging, and I can see how some customers would not be accustomed to having to do that, and then so this would be a way to make sure that the ball doesn't get dropped, so that somebody doesn't have to track it all themselves. So I can respect them putting this in there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. Yeah, like I said, they did have systems. There's nothing wrong with improving those. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if Echo was an acronym or something, but it doesn't look like it is.
I'll echo that sentiment. Echo that feedback.
We should ask Grok to backronym it, make up a acronym.
Make up one for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be cool if he gets it right.
Or send them a suggestion and say, I suggest you change the Echo to something else.
You realize Jeff Hu already has an ecosystem, right?
Oh, that's right. Yes, that does seem a little Alexa-ish. That's funny. So I wasn't kidding when I said I have a suggestion for Tesla, and I will enter this. So right now, because we were just talking about outages and how that, is a concern this time of year when the weather gets bad. So I have my batteries set up to do time of use. So in the morning before the sun comes up, I run on batteries. When it goes, when the cheap overnight rate ends at 7 a.m. So I run on batteries. It used to be just until like 7:05. Now it's 8:30 as the days get shorter. So run on batteries for a couple hours in the morning. Then there'll be some midday where it's might get a little bit of recharge, but there's not enough solar this time of year to recharge the batteries. And then the expensive part of the day is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So I run on batteries for that whole time. So then at 9 p.m., it's usually down pretty far, like 30%. And instead of charging up to at least 50% right when the cheap time starts at 9 p.m., it leaves it at wherever it was, 20 or 30%. And it leaves it there all night until like 5 a.m. And then it says, oh, the power price is about to go up. And I'm looking at how much I'm going to need for the day, and it'll recharge. But that means I'm sitting from 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. with the battery at its lowest level, which you should at least go to the middle for battery life. You know, it's no reason to set it 20% when you could set it 50%. And if I lose power at 2 a.m., now I have less in the battery, right? So as soon as the power goes cheap, it should charge. And it doesn't have to charge all the way to the top, but it should charge to at least 60%. And then sit there until 5 a.m. and then go, okay, power's about to go up. How much do I need to top this off or not? They can make those smart decisions. Just make them, Anyway, you guys see what I'm saying. I think that would be a much better system. And I've been manually forcing that. So at 9 p.m. tonight, I'm going to go into the app. I'm going to slide my reserve from 30 up to 55. And then at about 11 o'clock, I'll slide it back down to 30 or whenever, you know, and before I go to bed. And I don't want to have to do that manually. They should just be smarter and do it.
Yeah.
They've got AutoBidder.
Right. Yeah. It's only looking, I mean, they are doing it price-wise, still the cheapest, because it doesn't matter if they charge it at 9 or at 5 a.m., because it's still, that's all during off-peak. So the cost.
But why not give yourself 6 hours to charge up when you don't have to wait for 2 hours before the end of the? And you're right. If something was to happen, you have a better chance of it being corrected within a 6 or 8 hour period compared to a 2 hour period as it approaches the leaving of off-peak hours.
Exactly. Or the power could go out during the normal recharge period. Plus, like say a quarter C would be a lot less stressful on the pack than, oh man, it's almost time for the sun to come up. Let's slam this thing with a full C or 2. C rate for those of you that are is how fast you charge the battery compared to how fast you discharge it.
Just a response to Highlander, who was asking about my closest supercharger is about 2 miles away, and do I use it? Never. It's never been used because I'm charging at home. So there's no real point to using it. I could use it if I needed to test something or make if the home charging wasn't working. But in the year plus that supercharger's been there, haven't touched it.
Yeah. For me, like other than when I was in the multifamily situations, I would like apartments, townhouses. I would the closest I'd normally charge, unless I'm going and doing supercharger reviews or something, or just looking at a new one, is about 30 minutes out from wherever we're going to sleep at, because it's more convenient to just pop it in on the way in the house.
Yeah, I've rarely supercharged. In the year and a half we've had this car, I've supercharged a total of 5 times. And one was just because Mark said, go try this out.
Other than the rarely part, the same as me. I rarely do it at home, but man, MrSupercharger.com for a reason, baby.
Yeah, you put on the miles. You get out there and try them.
Megawatt hours.
Yep.
Next one, talk a little bit about RoboTaxi in Austin. We never have really gotten a figure of how many vehicles are out there. We had some guesstimates as to the number of vehicles. We've seen some peak periods where people are having a hard time getting it to pick them up because obviously there's a bit of a line. So Elon was questioned about this recently and came back with they're going to be doubling the fleet sometime in December. So again, guesstimates at this point, because Elon didn't indicate how many there actually were or what doubling would mean the number would be. But the best guess out there is there's currently 30 on the road, and the doubling would push it to 60. So
his double, Mark. Don't worry about his double.
2 weeks.
And they can do it in 2 weeks, though, because the beauty of this particular platform is RoboTaxi seems to be an extra antenna in the trunk.
It's a stock Model Y, right? Like really?
Mostly stock Model Y, an extra antenna in the trunk and a couple of decals, if they even choose to do the decals. And when you look at the competition, they've got to get this whole suite of just sled to put on top of the vehicle or fully integrate something into a vehicle. Depending on who we're talking about, if it's like one of the bread boxes or if it's a Jaguar with a sled on the top and top hat. And so when they say, oh, we're going to double the Model Y, I figured you could do that in one day from Austin even if you had 200 of them actually out there in the field, maybe 100 of them are always charging. I don't know, but now it should be pretty straightforward to double that.
So yeah, we were just talking about giving them feedback. Here's a case where somebody did give them feedback. It was Joe Tegmeyer, and So Your Merit responds. And so when those two are talking, it gets Musk's attention. Yeah. It must be nice to say, I couldn't get a ride, and then just get Musk to jump.
Exactly. I'd say the hardest part of this expansion for them would be just safety drivers.
Yeah,
or safety riders with the thumb on the door open button.
And obviously, I'm joking. Tesla has the data. They knew that this was a problem. If they're getting it doubled by the end of the month, they've already been working on it. They've already been hiring. So yeah, it was kind of funny though.
Yeah, and it's something that Musk had talked previously to this, long time previously, when RoboTaxi first rolled out. His guesstimate was that there would be 500 RoboTaxi cars in Austin by the end of 2025 initially. So obviously something's, well, we know how Musk is with deadlines and times and dates.
Not to save his life.
Well, what he's doing is he's pushing everybody harder than they can perform. Like that's all there is to it. He is always pushing the goal further out than he can be reached. And that is his mandate when it comes to managing employees, getting his the most that he can out of the company, because he's trying to get them to not just achieve the goal that's achievable. He wants them to push even further and harder to get to another goal faster. And that's what he does. That's where the 2 weeks came from, because you're a programmer, you're working on the problem, and then you hear that Musk turns around and says, well, it should be there in 2 weeks. And he said, I'll expect that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to keep going faster and faster and faster. And some people burn out with that too, because you keep being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Sometimes that's it. You can't take that all the time. There has to be some moderation.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it on this show. At some point, Musk said that about half the U.S. population will have access to RoboTaxi by the end of the year. Okay, well, no, that we looked at that meant they would have to be in 37 large metro areas with tons of cars, and they obviously didn't make that goal this year, or won't make it by the end of the month. And now they're struggling to have enough just in their launch city.
I would say that the 500 is not impossible. It might not be to the standard that people have come to expect, but there's nothing stopping it. Slap a Starlink Mini and whatever special cover you got on there, and then get an Uber driver for a couple of days as a temp, and boom, you got 500 RoboTaxis in Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think achieving 500 would be any problem. In fact, they could probably get 500 cars there in a week if they wanted to. But it's obviously something beyond that.
But not half the population in the end of the month.
It's too much. Not going to happen.
Correct. But didn't we call that like immediately? Like we said, half the population by the end of the year. No, that's not going to happen.
It's a very, very long shot.
Yeah, we know his, like you said, Mark. That's his playbook, is to. You don't achieve great things by asking people to just kind of phone it in. You push as hard as you can. You set big audacious goals, and if they get halfway there, and as long as that's more than anybody else is achieving, it's still a great result.
Yeah. Exactly. Another bit of information about Tesla, again iterating, continually upgrading, getting faster, better as time goes along, is that it appears that Tesla is getting ready or prepared to upgrade the exterior cameras with new coating appearing in the Tesla pack. So they're, again, we've heard about this with hardware 3, hardware 4, hardware 5, the starting of working on hardware 6. And of course, some of the components for these new hardwares allows them to get higher resolution cameras, which of course allows them to see more for FSD. It allows them to get with the faster compute, they can go through those many more pixels and still get to the point where they're finding and seeing what they need to see and find. And this is more indications of that. And why people say, well, if you're going to put in the new hardware in the vehicle, why isn't, for example, if you put in new cameras, why isn't it being upgraded to hardware 5 to work with those cameras? Well, the point also is that Tesla has deals with suppliers. They are buying a certain number of cameras over a period of time. And if you're coming to the end of that order for whatever reason, you may consider purchasing the newer cameras because you can get more of a volume discount, because you're now saying, listen, I'm going to put these in a car anyways, in hardware 4 cars, because that's all I'm producing at this point. But I know that in 6.5 months, I'm going to be starting with hardware 5. So I may as well start putting in the newer cameras at this point and allow them to work with both systems, hardware 4 and hardware 5. And you're still getting the benefit of volume, and signing a deal with those particular suppliers will allow you to get those, get those new cameras in place, and away you go.
Right. And when they do eventually get to AI 5, if you're putting in a new chip and new cameras and all at the same time, the debugging issues is much harder. Instead, if you've already proven the cameras, you've been using them with hardware 4, you know that they're you can align them and you can do all the other things that the cameras need to do with their AI system. That's a known good, and that makes debugging new AI 5 issues easier. And there are, there's someone who's worked on integrated systems, that those kinds of things are never easy. There's things don't work exactly as you expected. You need to do some bug fixes. You need to do some workarounds. You need to figure a few things out. And so using proven hardware is the right way to do it. What I want to know is, what is the so when we had hardware 2 and then they upgraded the cameras, it was 2.5. So is this going to be considered 4.5 when it's hardware 4 but the new cameras?
Have we made it yet as a community? In the article, they indicated that hardware 4 vehicles are shipped with a Sony's 5 megapixel sensor. And back when it was hardware 3, that was a 1.2 megapixel sensor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So in
this new one, is it higher than 5?
It's got to be higher than 5. It's not telling us exactly what it is.
And then will it have a 5 megapixel like emulation mode to emulate the current
Most
cameras?
Likely.
Yeah.
It does give us an identification number of IMX00N as in Nancy. I don't know if we can maybe look that up ourselves.
Yeah, let's see.
It is a Sony product. So we could probably look that up and maybe come up with something that tells us what the megapixel is on it, as standard as they sell it. But Tesla may have some different configuration as it gears up for AI 5.
Yeah, they might. The one speculation I saw is that this could allow them HDR without the trickery. They used to do HDR by doing like time slicing, but they said on hardware 3 it just made a muddy mess. But if you've got a camera that's still 5 megapixels but actually has alternate pixels or a better range to actually take HDR in, that could be useful to the system. The reason that this one came up as a little bit weird compared to when they normally change equipment is the way that Green is seeing it in the code. It shows up that it can go back onto another car, not necessarily as an upgrade, but possibly as an upgrade. But it could be like a recall or warranty situation where we're just out of that other one, and these work. Here's your new camera, and then they have to have a configuration available in the system for the car to do the update. And so it could be that simple. But the reason he thinks it could be an upgrade is, what I'm gathering, is that it's the way that it is and how early it is that it might allow it to happen before they start putting it on the line, as well as you've got There's some, I don't know if this is the same event, but some other items ended up in the end user toolbox, the shop toolbox, the non-Tesla app, non-Tesla shop access to the Tesla toolbox. So they can change out an FSD board or some cameras as well, and then that has typically required the Tesla Service Center,
Right.
or authorized body shop.
Okay, so Mark, I found some stuff, and this is sort of real time, so it may or may not be accurate, but so it looks like Sony already had a camera called the IMX963, and that was a 12 megapixel camera, but the assumption is that the IMX00N sensor for Tesla might be a custom version,
Right.
and that it is specifically designed where'd it go? For better high dynamic range and better performance in glare situations.
Sunlight. Yeah.
Yes. But because it's a custom build, it's not
There's
like
no
the
real
specs
specs
are just
for it.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense.
I mean, if you order them by the pallet load, you can probably get a custom version of something that comes off the line already.
I'm sure they could. Exactly. Patrick had a question about your FSD. Did you get that upgrade after 14.2.1?
14 point. That's the latest one that I have. I don't know if there's been one since then. The parking has improved. It still could use some improvement, but I've been really happy with 14.2 in general.
So you do have 14.2.1.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that's
I was
Lee
yeah,
Moon
'cause,
was talking about it, that he had gone
exactly.
beyond that, right?
He was I was on 14.1.7 when he had 14.2.
Okay.
And then we all got upgraded to 14.2.1.
I see.
I think that's right. I know that's what happened to me. I think I have Lee's versioning right too. I think they pushed a few people got 14.2, but I think everybody got 14.2.1.
Okay. Yep. Lee's on 14.2.1.
Cool.
Very good. All right. Well, let's go to some shout outs. It's been an hour. Casey, what do you got for us?
Well, catch us on the Tesla Life Show Express. We've got a couple of episodes per week that we like to put out there for you guys, as well as catch us on Sunday for Let's Chat with Casey and Friends over at Casey Green on youtube.com and x.com, where we chat about adjacent topics. We had Brian White from Futurasa stop through this weekend. That was fun. And you never know who will be here. Yeah.
Exactly. Patrick?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I've been writing about a lot of cool stuff. If you're an Alice in Chains fan, I wrote an article about their jar of flies and why it has that name. If you, it's interesting. And this time of year, it's getting cold. So I put an article out there as a little PSA to make sure you keep your tire pressures up, because it does impact your range, your fuel economy. It's important. And then speaking of getting cold, I made the slight observation that ice has been replaced by electric once before in history. And when I say ice, I mean literally blocks of ice were replaced with refrigeration. And I just thought it was funny that ice is being replaced by electrification a second time in history. So I wrote a little article about that. So check it out, carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Very good. Very good. We thank everyone in the chat room for joining us. We appreciate you being there. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, press that subscribe. It really helps us out. Costs you nothing. And we would appreciate it. That being said, we'll get together next time and we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive. Test negative.